2024. They were averaging more than 40 points per game. If you guys remember, at the time, everyone was going, hang on just a minute. We were not expecting the Saints to be a good team. We were not expecting them to be a good offense. Everyone had kind of given up on Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara. Maybe he's getting a little older. Wasn't supposed to be a good offensive line. And here they are looking like the best offense in football. And then they kind of fizzled out, some injuries. But I kept thinking back to that after this game, Bump. And so you were watching some film. What did you see watching the first 2 weeks against the Saints? What did we see when we compare that to week one? Is it a different offense? Was there an execution thing? So what did you see watching the film?
The only difference that I saw when it came to what I saw on film in New Orleans and what I saw on film with the Seahawks is, one, you're playing against the Panthers.
Sure.
All right? Not a very good football team.
Context.
This week you're playing against the 49ers. Better than what we thought they were going to be defensively. Gotta put that out there. But the offensive line for the Saints were firing off the ball in a way I didn't see consistently with the Seahawks last week. Also, you got Kamara in the backfield. He just moves differently. I love me some Ken Walker. I love me some Zach Charbonnet, but neither of them is that. Kamara is one of the most explosive and dynamic running backs of all time, not just the past 5 to 8 years, of all time. I don't know what his numbers say, but if you watch him play, you put him up there with some of the best in the game. So Kamara is different. He can slip tackles. He gets downhill. He has a great feel for what's going on there. Another thing that I saw is that they have more speed in the wide receiver room with the Saints than the Hawks do right now. And I think that Horton is a fast player, and once he understands the game a bit more, he's going to play even faster. And then you have just the confidence of a Derek Carr, who has had success in this league before. He's not an elite of the elite, but he was an MVP candidate 1 year before he got hurt. He did take the Raiders to the playoffs a couple times, I believe. There's just a different type of confidence when watching Derek Carr play, though I think Sam Darnold played a good game himself. So it comes down to the offensive line firing off the football and taking care of blocks. I want to say your guard play, minus Zabel, wasn't the greatest last week. You're still trying to figure that out. Their guard play is on point. Getting to the double teams, climbing to the linebacker. There's an efficiency there. They're getting off of the football. And the Panthers didn't do a great job of setting the edge. The Saints were setting the edge against the Panthers. And then I went and watched against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's just 1 week. I see the same things. And granted, the Dallas Cowboys defense was not the greatest either last year, at least to start the season. They got better as the season progressed. So you got to look at matchups, too. It's who they're playing against, but then there's that personnel. It's Kamara. It's that offensive line firing off the football. And I said it last year before the season started. People were knocking the Saints offensive line, and I was looking at the Hawks offensive line, and I was saying the Saints offensive line might be better than the Hawks offensive line, and that's what it looked like on film. So there are a few things happening here, and then you don't have the gadget player that the Saints have. I was hoping that Arroyo would be that gadget player. He still has to come around, has some things to learn. He still could be that. But when you have a guy like Taysom Hill over there, it affects the way the defense plays as well. You can move him around. So it's speed, it's personnel, it's Kamara, it's offensive line play, and it's the confidence at the quarterback spot.
Okay, so for week 2, is it an execution thing that needs to be better? Because here's where I'm confused. I felt like in Mike McDonald's press conference, and based on the play action numbers we have, they ran the least amount of play action in the league. I felt like he was disappointed with not seeing what he wanted to on offense, which I was just thinking, well, maybe Klint got away from it.
Yeah.
But you're seeing more of it's a mix.
Well, yesterday I said that they only ran 2 play action passes.
Okay.
And 2 play action, 1 play action, Sam ended up running it for a first down.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's only one, and Gwyndy in the 206 points that out too. That's part of the problem as well.
Okay.
Because if you don't play action, you don't have the influence. Therefore, the passing lanes aren't going to be where you want them to be. So there's a mix of stuff. I think that they didn't run the wide zone as much as Mike McDonald wanted them to. Toss was there. The concepts are still the same in toss. Sometimes they will pull a guy, pin and pull a guy, but essentially you're trying to get to the outside. And then if you don't run the outside zone a lot, you're not going to use play action the same way, or it's not going to have the same effect. Yeah. So I think that plays into it as well. But I also said yesterday that the way the 49ers were playing the outside zone, splitting the gaps, forcing everything inside, it messes up the timing and the spacing of that whole thing. So there were a bunch of things that happened last week that can get a play caller out of his rhythm or out of what he wants to do. Like, people want play callers to be stubborn and running and running and running, and I get it. I mean, you have to be stubborn to some point, but at another point, you have to look at what's there and say, okay, well, if they're taking this away, let's try to attack it here. That's why we saw more of the inside zone, because that 1 and 3 tech were blowing stuff up. So how do you slow them down? You run at them, you double team them.
A chance we see them try to run more against the Steelers. The Steelers defense did struggle against the run yesterday. You already talked about how Justin Fields being a threat influences that. So we'll kind of take that off the table, as let's all assume that's the obvious context here. But let's talk about how they're running it. Would you like to see them be more stubborn with it, knowing that the Steelers did struggle to contain the Jets?
Well, this is why the Steelers did struggle with the zone, and it was more of an inside zone than an outside zone. The guard play. I think if you can get both guards and center playing at a high level in the run game, you can be okay. The New York Jets, their double teams were crazy. First play of the game, it is a zone left. You get a double team by I think it was zone right. You get a double team by your center and your guard, and they put him on his wallet, as the great Steve Rabel says. Sat him down on his wallet, blew it up, and Breece Hall is gone. Then they do another zone. Double teams on point. They're climbing to that linebacker. It really starts interior with those big boys inside.
Okay.
Then also, Breece Hall ain't no chump. He's one of the best running backs in the game. He looks fresh. He's seeing the lanes. He's hitting it. He's falling forward, which I think our guys can do as well. But it starts with the violence with the interior offensive linemen. When there's a double team, you need to win that double team. You need to climb to the linebackers. And I think those are things that can be fixed, because now it's on film. And you can compare and contrast. You know, if I am the offensive line coach here, I'm saying, look, this is what you guys are doing. This is what I need you to do. So now you have something these guys can see and kind of feel. So I expect better play. If not, when it comes to execution, just effort, like relentlessness. Fire off the football and just be violent, and let your running backs make you right. That's what happens in the zone is, look, you might miss this block, or that guy might scrape over the top, and you end up pushing him further left than you intended. So what? That running back is going to feel that, see that, and cut upfield and make you right.
You talked about, Arroyo still growing into that gadget player that someone like Hill was for Kubiak. I know different roles, but still that someone like Hill was for Kubiak. You wish that you had a little more speed in the wide receiver room. We'll see what that group looks like. You got some young guys that are still growing into their own. But as great as Kamara is, it sure feels like the Seahawks have the running back talent to be better in the run.
Yeah, you would think so. And it's a feel, it's a groove. I compared it to just riding a wave, feeling the swell, diving into that thing and going. And I think once they get on the same page with the rhythm of the running back and the violence of the offensive line, they can be okay. We're 1 week in. People getting ready to want to fire people and move on from a concept. Relax. 1 weekend, let these coaches coach and let these players adjust.